Everything you've always wanted to know about real estate, but didn't know who to ask. I'm your host, Angie Stanley. Today, we have a great lineup with Siobhan Keating, Senior Mortgage Consultant with New American Funding, Amy Scruggs, a Business Development Manager with New American Funding, Dina Lieber, Certified VA Pro Realtor with the Cascade team. Hi, Siobhan. How are you? Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
So tell me, how are VA loans different?
They are different because they allow for people who have served our country to come in with a lower down payment, sometimes no down payment, and to actually qualify for even more of a home because there's no mortgage insurance if they do decide not to put down that down payment. So it's actually a wonderful opportunity for them to get into a house.
Wow. So comparing a VA loan to, say, like a conventional loan, what are the differences with the down payments, with the rates?
The rates are actually very good compared to the conforming loans. When you put down a lower down payment with a conforming, you actually have to pay that mortgage insurance, which can affect your debt to income ratio. So again, it gives you that buying power that the conforming may not give to you.
Wow, okay. And sometimes they get approved for a higher loan amount, or how does that work?
They can, absolutely. Because that couple $100s can make a big difference.
Absolutely.
Especially in a competitive market.
Absolutely. And how do you qualify for a VA loan? Do you have to be active military? Can you be retired military? How does that work?
You can be both. You can be either. You just have to have a certificate of eligibility, and that allows us to know whether or not you even have some kind of a disability. Then we can waive that funding fee. If you don't, if you are somebody who's very healthy, then that funding fee can actually be financed into your loan. So,
oh, wow. And does your eligibility ever go away?
No.
Okay. So if you buy a house and don't use the VA program, are you able to use the VA program later on down the line?
Correct. And you can use it on as another occasion as well. So if you did use it one time, you've sold that property, you can use it again.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. And then what kind of qualifications besides that certificate? What about like your credit scores and your debt to income? What are the qualifications for that?
Again, credit scores are much more tolerant in regards to if you have a 640 for a VA, you're going to get a better interest rate than if you had a 640 for a conforming. Again, you can do 100% financing even with a 640. So you have that tolerance level, and your interest rates are not affected as greatly as with the lower credit scores they are with the conforming.
Oh, wow, that's interesting. Now, do you think that the average consumer or the average VA buyer even realizes that they have these programs available, or how do you go about educating the veterans that this is available for them?
Well, sometimes you are sitting down with a client and you don't even know what their history has been, and you simply just start asking those questions in order to find the right program for them. And doing that, due diligence, all of a sudden you can find out, oh yes, you do have VA benefits. Well, let's explore that as an option.
Wow, okay. And then what kind of VA loan programs are available? Is there just one, or are there different types of them?
There's the fixed as well as the adjustable. And again, depending on what a person's objective is with a property, may want them to stay into a 30-year fixed, but perhaps they're only going to be there temporarily. So maybe a 5-year ARM is a better option, so they have that lower interest rate because they're not going to be in the home for a long period of time. So again, it just depends on what their situation is as to what the right program is.
Okay. And then to someone that maybe it doesn't understand fixed compared to an ARM, I know that nowadays people are scared to do an ARM. They think, oh, I have to have a 30-year fixed. What is your take on all of that?
I think, again, it's just simply with education. You basically explain to them that it's a 30-year loan that's amortized over the same period of time. For the first 5 years, it is a fixed interest rate, so you don't have any adjustment periods. You educate them if they do keep it longer than that, for if they are not transferred to another location, that they can then find out what that payment adjustment will be so that they're prepared for it.
Okay. And then in the chance that they could maybe refinance?
They could refinance as well, correct.
Okay. And then do you think there's misconceptions with VA offers in the real estate world?
Absolutely, and I think a lot of education, really it's one agent at a time, but educating that listing agent as to what the pros and cons are for all loan types, not just what they've heard in the media, is really going to help them when they educate their seller, when they're choosing an offer. When we have multiple offers, you don't want to just set aside one that you think might be a difficult loan option. You want to actually understand it. The VA loan is not a difficult loan. It's actually equivalent to all the other requirements of all the other loan types. There might be some fees that the seller needs to pay, but in my opinion, that's a really small contribution to what they've already done for our country.
Absolutely. And there's qualifications and different stipulations
Absolutely.
with every type of loan.
That's right.
Interesting. And then if you could give 3 tips to a VA buyer, what would they be?
3 tips to a VA buyer: really know specifically what type of property type you're looking for. If you're looking for a condominium, if that's your price point, you really need to be educated on knowing what the approval process for a VA loan is going to be, because that project has to be approved. If you're looking for a single family residence, it's going to be a much easier journey. So that would be your first tip, is to figure out what your property type is. Secondly, really know what is on your credit, because that can contribute to your debt to income ratio. There are some other levels of approval that VA has that the other loan types don't have, so we need to get that education as well. And then finally, finding out what your eligibility really is.
Okay, so it sounds like be prepared, meet with someone like yourself that can really educate and let people know what's out there.
That's right.
And then what about a VA seller? Is there anything, if you're selling a VA loan home or anything like that, are there any stipulations or regulations, or is just completely the buyer?
It's just the buyer.
Okay,
exactly.
So there's really nothing for the VA sellers. Awesome.
That's right.
Well, thanks so much, Siobhan, for coming on. And I think what we can get out of this is that VA loans are coming back, or maybe increasing, and not to be scared of them. They're
That's right.
just as qualified buyers as anyone else.
Exactly.
So thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Amy Scruggs. She is the Business Development Manager with New American Funding. Hello, and now we have Amy Scruggs, who is a Business Development Manager with New American Funding. Hi, Amy. How are you?
Good. Thank you.
Thanks for coming on the show. So my first question is, tell me a little about your experience with the VA and with the veterans.
I've had some unusual, and what I think is pretty awesome and honoring experience that I've had with the veteran community. That I spent 3 years as the spokesperson for the American Veterans for California, and I also was touring as a performer. So I've worked in probably hundreds of military and veteran organizations and events and deployments and Yellow Ribbon Association. I've worked with all branches of service. So it's given me a chance to really get to know some of the military families at all different levels, and veterans, from World War II vets, Vietnam, to even our current veterans now, and get an idea of what all those different dynamics and needs have been.
Wow, that's awesome. So what do you mean spokesperson? What exactly does the spokesperson entail?
Well, I was there. I would book the shows, definitely. Sometimes I only sang the national anthem. Sometimes I was just there as a personality. And my role was to really get them in, and I got to say thank you for a living, basically. And I would have service officers with me that were there to answer their questions about their entitlements, and really just got to say thank you, go talk with the families, meet with the families, get to know what their needs and issues were, and get them to the right people and right resources of all different community partners that they would need to help move them forward into the next stages that they were at.
Wow, that's such an essential thing and part that we need. Now tell me, so how did you end up with the New American Funding? Just the name itself, New American, just kind of goes along with the whole veteran background that you have.
I thought so too. It was a big selling point for me joining this company, and it was a great decision. I have a background in lending as well, so to take my time with the military and the vets, and also my background in lending, and pair it with New American Funding, they were the right fit, the right company, Integra's company really impressed me, and then the product alone, even discussing the VA product, was just outstanding. And to go, wow, I would love to take that, be a voice for it, and connect the right people and make a difference.
Wow, so the VA product, do you think, having this personal experience with these veterans, do you think that they know what's available to them and the different programs and the VA loans? Are they familiar, do you think, with what options they have?
I would say generally no. For an example, my own father, who's a vet, didn't know that he qualified for a VA loan. Didn't even dawn on him to even think about that. And you're finding that a lot. They don't realize what they are entitled to. Nobody sits there and really explains it to them. And they have so much going on in their life of just their basic needs and transitioning. And a lot of them, if they've been wounded or injured or they have issues with their families, it's the last thing that they're thinking about. And as they come around and start reestablishing their lives, we're in a great position to educate them, and most of them don't know. And the more we educate everybody involved in the real estate transaction, the better chance we have to reaching the actual veteran for these programs.
So that's probably the better question. What are you doing, or how can we change so that these men and women that have served our country know what's available to them?
Well, I definitely love starting within our real estate community and saying, okay, let's educate, like I said, everybody in the transaction. You've got the real estate agents, you've got the affiliates, escrow and title companies, anybody who may touch that buyer, to help them answer those questions and show them that this really is a much easier process than they thought, that maybe they qualify that they didn't even know. So starting within our real estate community, the more we educate the agents to explain this to their potential buyers, the more it can become the norm and not the exception anymore.
Yeah, because that's what it seems like, in the past, if you had a VA offer and you had a conventional offer and an FHA offer or whatever, it's the VA offer kind of got shifted to the side, and I don't understand the reasoning for that.
I don't either, and I really think it's tragic, to be honest. And I know maybe that it's because there's some fees involved that the seller has to pay for, but it's the least they can do. These veterans deserve to have the opportunity to rebuild their lives, get into a home, be in a home while they're still serving. There's so many different facets. Veterans who have served in former wars that deserve to have the better programs. And I think that the awareness then to the community as well, to embrace these programs. When you see an offer come in, if you're selling and you see that offer come in, to say, yes, this is going to go smooth, I want to support this, even if it's a little uncomfortable, there's a few extra things I have to do. Why would we not do that if they're truly a well-qualified buyer? And so I think going out and making an awareness on all fronts could start making a difference.
Absolutely. And a rumor I've heard, and I say rumor because I don't know, but one of the things I've heard is that these benefits may start to lessen or even go away if they're not being utilized, because the government's going to say, hey, they don't need these, let's, cut back a little bit. And that's a huge problem.
I agree. We're seeing programs get cut, on the federal level constantly. And you're right, we have to make sure that this is not one of those things that happens. We need to be utilizing it and do the best we can to minimize any of those risks.
Absolutely. And I think there needs to be a big outreach to the actual veteran community to say, hey, take advantage of these programs. So very good. And then, so tell me, what advice would you give a VA buyer?
I would give them the advice to not be afraid to ask those questions, that there is nothing wrong with looking at these options and these programs. They're actually great. Non-VA people would give their arm to probably have some of these opportunities in lending especially. So I think to take away that stigma of being afraid to ask the questions, and if they're not getting their questions answered, then they need to pursue looking for maybe another agent or getting referrals to people that can answer those questions, even if they still use the agents and the people they want to use, but getting second opinions to help them be able to guide it in the right direction. And so I think that just reaching out and saying, hey, can you get me somebody to give me more information? And then as a community, we educate ourselves to be those resources to get them more information. You could see it come together a little bit better.
Absolutely. So tell me, to the VA buyers with the condos, that's the part I still don't quite understand. You see these big billboards that say VA approved, or someone's trying to make an offer and, oh, it's not VA approved. What do you know what makes the difference between if something is approved or not for the VA buyers?
I know that I think the condo complex itself and the HOA that they have to be approved for certain programs. So I think that the lending, especially your lending associate and your mortgage consultant would be the best to answer those questions and make sure that they have their departments looking into the fact that they are in fact approved. And if they're not, what is it going to take to get it approved so that they know what they're looking at time-wise.
Okay, so really raise awareness with everyone involved and really find someone that understands the process. So
exactly.
Thanks so much, Amy. It was very informative. And next coming up, we have Dina Lieber. She is a certified VA Pro Realtor with the Cascade team. And now we have Dina Lieber. Dina is a certified VA Pro Realtor with the Cascade team. Hi, Dina. How are you today?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming on the show. So tell me, what is a certified VA Pro?
A certified VA Pro is someone who's gone through an extensive training program. It's put on by Military Loans. It's a company based here in San Diego. And after going through the training and passing a test, then you become certified. And the intention of the program is to provide the knowledge and tools that real estate agents and loan officers need to help veterans become homeowners.
Wow. And then do you get like a certification, or how do people know, you're the VA Pro and you've went through that program?
You just market yourself. Yeah, you do get a little plaque with your certificate, which is fun.
Awesome. And has this been a program that's been around for a while? I have not seen this before.
They started about 2 years ago,
Okay.
and they hold their training programs probably quarterly.
Okay, awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so tell me, being a certified VA Pro, what are you able to offer your clients that maybe someone else that isn't would be able to do?
Well, personally, I have a tremendous amount of experience working with veterans. I've been in real estate sales for over 20 years. And much of that time was in the new home arena, where we had a lot of veterans that were coming into new home communities. So I was able to get my skills honed working with veterans. So I have a tremendous background experience, as well as the ability to relate to the veterans. I have family members and cousins who were deployed to Iraq, and my father was in the military, my brother was in the military. So I have a real passion for helping, and you know, that experience, the knowledge that I have with the training, as well as the passion for veterans, is basically what I bring to the table.
Wow. And so do you think there are misconceptions with VA buyers these days?
There are. I think mostly it's a fear of the unknown and also a lack of education. There are differences between putting a transaction together that's a VA transaction versus a government transaction, which is FHA or conventional. It's a part of being prepared, the home being prepared, as well as preparing the people involved in the transaction. So if you've got the knowledge and you're prepared, then the transaction can go very smoothly, and it's not as scary as some people think.
So when you're representing a VA buyer, is there anything that you do, you know, maybe to educate the listing agent that you're submitting the deal to, so that when she sees, you know, your VA offer, that she or he doesn't, you know, push it to the side or maybe, you know, choose someone else ahead of them?
Absolutely. It is a lot of education, and one of the things that, the reason why I'm here and while the marketing that I'm doing, is to really challenge people who I list homes as well, but other listing agents, to take the time to learn the program and learn the benefits that this offers our veterans, because it's the least we can do for them. And yes, there are some nuances, there are some things that you do have to get prepared to deal with a VA loan, but it's not as scary as it seems. And it's a great program for veterans. So we need to honor them and help them get into being homeowners.
Absolutely. Now, you say the marketing that you do. What do you do to market and to tailor to these veterans to educate them and let them know, you know, what services you provide?
Well, there's the typical programs, the direct mail. I have ability to direct mail directly to people who actually have VA loans right now in their homes. So I direct mail to them. I have social media campaigns, as well as my website that's geared for educating veterans. And I'm working with a lender who's a VA lender who is experienced. And we're putting together for the future some seminars that we'll be going into the workplace and doing educational seminars for those who are veterans to learn about this great tool that they can have to be a homeowner.
So you're specifically going, you know, after a target market.
Yes,
great.
Absolutely.
So tell me, what do you think three tips or advice that you could give a VA buyer would be?
For VA buyers, I would say become educated. Learn about this program, learn the nuances of it, learn the benefits of it. You've earned it, you should use it, and make sure you're working with a real estate agent who really understands how to structure that VA deal, because there is a lot of miseducation out there. So when that offer is presented to the seller and to that listing agent, it's important for the fears to be overcome in the offer, with cover letters, with the way the deal is structured, and also to make sure that they do work with a VA lender. Not somebody who just markets themselves as a VA lender, but somebody who has experience with VA loans. Because it is different, and every lender has overlays that one lender could be different from another lender. Make sure that they understand what those overlays are and that they fit into the criteria for that lender, and just surround themselves with people who understand the process and can help them through it.
Now, when you say cover letter, what do you normally write in a cover letter that you're doing for a VA buyer?
For VA buyers and any buyers these days, we have to really sell why we should be the one awarded the home, because many times we're in competitive markets where there's more than one offer. And so we want to put our best foot forward and explain in detail why we should be chosen as the buyer. And also, people look at things these days that are kind of superficial. Somebody putting 5% down is considered to be less of a qualified buyer than somebody putting 20% down. Well, Well, that's not necessarily always true. Same with a VA buyer. They can put zero down up to $500,000. That doesn't mean they're not qualified. It means that they can. So they're qualified, even with 0% down. So those kinds of things we really want to educate, and also put some touchy-feelies into the letter to say these are humans and they really want this home. So we package it as a whole package for the buyer.
Absolutely. It's so interesting nowadays with your offers, you're kind of marketing yourself like, choose me, pick me.
Exactly.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Dina, for coming on the show, and thanks to all of you for watching. And don't forget, if you want to come and be on the show, check us out at www.oakwoodtv.tv, and you're watching Smart Real Estate.